Better known as ASMR, Autonomous Meridian Sensory Response is a tingly form of paresthesia that usually begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and upper spine. But this shorthand is also a description of a specific type of content you can find on YouTube and other platforms, and many creators are making bank doing it. Is ASMR actually a profitable niche for content creation? And why does it work for some people and not others? You're listening to Real Stories, Real Problems with Rachael and Roxanne.
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing today?
Frustrated because I couldn't hear a dang word of this documentary.
I know. When I watched it, I went out to you and I said, "You're gonna need headphones to listen to this one, because yeah, very subtle, very nice, and very tingly."
Yeah, this was such an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, like I had told you earlier that I felt like, but for me, when I watched this documentary, which is on YouTube, I'll put the link in the thing down below. It's called ASMR Documentary Road Trip.
Mhm.
And it is some ASMR creators kind of going around the country and across,
Right.
overseas to find ASMR creators to talk to them about what they do. And it was very interesting, but so much of it was done in whispers.
Oh,
And like as ASMR content is done, which is great if you're not partially deaf.
I know. And even I'm not partially deaf, and even I ended up listening to it with headphones just to block out any ambient noise. And I was like, "Oh my God, poor Rachel, she's not even getting this." Oh no.
Yeah, so I watched it with closed captions,
Mm.
thank goodness for closed captions. And I kind of liken this to discovering a whole new world. Like I told you, I feel like in the history of man, people have stood at the edge of the water and seen fish
Right.
and crabs and things. But at some point, someone was the first person to float out onto the water on some type of craft
Right.
and see that there were whales and sharks and
Sure.
other, giant
And
squid
Kraken and Cthulhu and yeah.
and all the things. And I feel like I just am that dude. I discovered
Mm.
a whole new world that did not exist to me
Right.
until I watched this documentary last night.
Good.
And it's so interesting. And I both hate it because I cannot participate in it. It does nothing for me.
Right.
And love it because so many people really seem to enjoy ASMR.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the documentary kind of addresses that it's a paresthesia thing. And paresthesia is a sensation on your skin. It might be like numbness or tingling or burning or something. Most commonly, people get like pins and needles.
Mm-hmm.
That's a type of paresthesia. Apparently, people who are into ASMR get a really pleasant paresthesia experience down their skull, across, the top of their skull and down their neck and their spine. And that's fantastic.
The thing that I liken it to is when I get my hair washed in a salon, I tell them, feel free to dig right in there, because I do feel that wonderful squidgy thing all the way down my body. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately for me,
Yeah.
I don't get that from ASMR. You
Right.
can get that from other sensations, but ASMR
Right.
ain't it.
Right.
And so this apparently, like the guy who created this documentary, who I want to say his name was Michael, but it was just addressed very briefly in the beginning, and I didn't pick up on it again. Um, he kind of stumbled across ASMR to help him sleep because he was dealing with insomnia.
Right.
And all the other attempts to fix it had not worked, and ASMR was the thing for him.
Right.
And he really took to it and started being a creator. And we got to see some really fun equipment and some really interesting things. Like they had binaural microphones, which basically means it's a microphone with two ends that you speak into.
Right.
and one of them records sound that'll play through the left side of the speaker, and one of them records sound
Yeah.
the right.
It's like from outer space. Yeah.
And so if you don't have hearing loss like I do, and you can get that omnidirectional sound and the binaural microphones work, I imagine that that's probably pretty cool.
I have never tried. See, this is the thing. My exposure to ASMR has been very limited. First time I ever heard of it was like 3 years ago. I was staying with a friend I went to high school with, and she's showing me how her TV worked, so I couldn't know how to use it. And she hits upon this one channel, and all it is this hand, which I hope belonged to a woman, had with very, very long, pointy fingernails. And she was just lovingly stroking the inside of a watermelon. And I was like, is that all this is? Like, is this the whole plot? Like, does it get better? She goes, nope, that's all she does is takes her nails and strokes the insides of foods. And the sound that it makes is supposedly very relaxing, but the visual was freaking me out so much I couldn't enjoy it. I was like, okay, this is a thing. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, some of this was really cool and some of it was really weird, and I was shocked at how detailed
Yeah.
people got with this. And I mean, some of them were so into this that for recordings, that for the visuals, that,
Yeah.
so that you could see them recording, they had their binaural microphones with ears on either side, like plastic ears, so it looks like they're whispering into somebody's ears. And then they have like role play ASMR and like things where they're just making random noise. At one point, no joke, this guy has like an empty tin can.
Right.
He's lined it with cotton
Or
and is
something.
using it to tumble pieces of chalk. And I believe him when he says it makes a noise. I can't hear it,
Right,
but I
and
believe that it makes a noise.
It does.
And apparently this just does it for people. And that is so amazing.
Even hit upon this combination. That's the other thing I wondered about when I'm watching all these content creators, these ASMR creators doing their various ASMR things. I'm like, how did you think to combine one from column A with one from column B with one from column C and come up with this? Who'd have thought of that?
Yeah, it's got to be something that once you've stumbled upon it, you start thinking about how you can make different unique sounds people probably haven't heard.
Yes.
And at one point, one woman, they're going very detailed into her account, and she does things where she's like role playing that she's creating a love spell. And so she's going through flipping book pages, running her fingers and her nails down the pages of the books, whispering spells into the mic.
Right.
And then in the next one, it's her, but she's in like a doctor's scrubs with a stethoscope, and she's shining a flashlight into the computer.
That was so funny.
Yeah,
I felt like I was getting a roadside sobriety test.
but like she clearly knows her audience. She knows exactly what they're looking for, and God bless her for it. Like, that is a talent and a skill, and
we still can't figure out our audience.
and like, honestly, for our audience, if you're listening to this, comment in the comments below if you've ever listened to ASMR, or if it does it for you, or you have a favorite type of ASMR. Please let us know, because I am now endlessly fascinated with this entire existence
you can't be a part of.
Like, I legitimately feel the way I think most people would feel if they could suddenly see a whole spectrum of infrared color.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Like, to suddenly be aware that this is out there and be able to kind of catch the edges of it and know that other people are enjoying this, but you can't participate in it, is a weird feeling. But it was so interesting to watch, even if they were speaking in a whisper most of the time. And as they're talking about the role play portion of ASMR, they make a very solid, point that this is not a sex thing, that it's a pleasurable experience. Sometimes they refer to it as a braingasm, but it's not sexual in any way. And I'm reminded of the show Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix.
Which I didn't see, but I know what it's about.
You should.
Yeah.
You would really like it. But at one point, the teenage daughter, Abby, is talking to her mom, who is a zombie, and her dad, who is not. And they're figuring out, okay, at this point, we may need to go on the run. What's going on?
Mm.
And Abby says, well, if we need to make money, I have a friend who whispers ingredients from cereal boxes into a microphone on YouTube, and she pays her parents' mortgage. And her dad looks at her and goes, first of all, if she pays her parents' mortgage, it's a sex thing.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah. Because I'm sitting there thinking, well, I have an untapped potential. I could read instructions for people to fall asleep.
You totally could.
Yeah, I guarantee there's like Rule 34 stuff out there about the ASMR.
Oh, yeah. I mean, almost certainly there are people for whom this is a sexual fetish type thing.
Right.
But by and large, it seems to not be that.
Oh, no, I don't think it's produced for that.
Yeah, it's like there are some people who really enjoy having like nature sounds in the background or things like that. It seems like it's one of those type things. And I absolutely love that people get such a kick out of it and that they refer to it as a braingasm, which is hilarious. And it doesn't always have to be whispering. It's all sorts of strange, quiet sounds.
Yeah.
Like the when you're rubbing your nails across the paper in the book or the various things, all sorts of things apparently qualify as ASMR if it just makes a quiet sound. And they showed us at one point that they had an ASMR crinkling machine that
does it for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like you put paper or other things into this machine and it moves them in such a way to create specific crinkling sounds, not like what you would do but different.
Can you imagine showing up on Shark Tank with one of these things and saying, I'm going to tap into this vastly unknown like population of people that really need this sound?
Yeah, and they referred to cranial nerve examinations, which kind of threw me because I don't know.
That sounded like pseudoscience to me.
I don't know anything about it or how it would connect to ASMR because there is no examination as part of this. You're not seeing a doctor. It's a separate thing. But I don't understand that reference. And again, I couldn't hear most of this documentary. So, is what it is. But apparently, like, the more boring the documentary is, the more relaxing it is. And so
that's understandable because I can just imagine having somebody like read their vector calculus textbook to me. But okay, cranial nerve examination is a systematic 12-step neurological assessment that evaluates sensory and motor functions of the head, neck, and spinal senses, often using simple tools like a pen light, cotton wisp, and eye chart.
Oh, I wonder if they were talking about that was what they were miming.
Yes, that's what that was.
Flashlight.
Okay.
And so they really aim for boring, and I am impressed by that because for me, I find things that other people think are boring very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember at one point, it was about 1 a.m. and I was trying to go to sleep and I just couldn't. And I found a documentary on PBS. It was the history of the number 0. And I was like,
that'll do it. But no, knowing you were still up.
It was
fascinating. Yes, exactly.
Like the history of how humans came up with the concept of 0, which is actually a very complicated.
Is it just a placeholder? That's what I always was told, or is there more? There must be more.
I mean, when you think of how humanity came across the concept of representing nothing.
Right.
This was a huge, step forward in
civilization and mathematics.
Yeah, so, but as they're getting into how the history of counting and math and where 0 falls in and about how crows can identify 0, like they understand 0 as a concept.
Oh.
I was watching for 2 hours. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
I see a whole bunch of playlists on YouTube, like 9 hours of boring history for sleep. No, that wouldn't do it for me.
No.
I'd lay there fascinated, sure.
Yeah, but I could probably sit there and listen to people talk about their fantasy football and knock right out.
Yeah,
because so we all have different things we consider boring.
Right, exactly.
But the other thing that I thought was so fascinating about this was every single creator they talked about how they got into it and they started this and they started making money and building an audience and they did not tell their family or friends. They mentioned it to nobody because
Right.
they did not think their friends and family could comprehend the world of ASMR. They thought they would be judged. Maybe they thought their friends had hearing loss and could not understand it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, why bother?
But yeah, so many of these people, we got to hear their stories of, so yeah, I got up to 40,000 people in my audience, and then I went on this TV show, and that's how my dad found out I do this for a living. Or some similar story to that, where they wanted to keep it to themselves because they were embarrassed that this is what they do.
Oh,
But honestly, this is brilliant. You should absolutely own this.
yeah.
If you are an ASMR creator, you found an audience nobody else
Right,
knew existed,
exactly.
and you turned that into a service you provide to people, like a real solid service that is profitable to you, helpful to other people, hurts no one.
See, that
But
was the other thing I was gonna say. What's wrong with this? It doesn't hurt anybody. The cost of production must be minimal. It's not like you need many props except the watermelon, apparently. It's certainly not indecent or sexual. It's not illegal. You don't have to show your face, so it's not really dangerous as far as doxing is concerned. And if it's something that can calm somebody, like I remember telling you the story about how I used to have a dog, and the only thing that the dog would calm down at was the sound of Bill Clinton's voice. And there was no YouTube back in the time of Bill Clinton, but this dog would freak out, and there was nothing that would make her. So my dad, genius that he was, finally got the idea of videotaping one of Clinton's speeches. So whenever the dog would freak out, long after Clinton was out of office and they're no longer public speaking, my dad and my mom and I would pop in that stupid VHS tape from the State of the Union 1993 or something like that. And the dog would go right. She was the weirdest goddamn dog I'd ever seen. So it was it had to have been kind of an ASMR thing. There was something with the timbre of Clinton's voice, the volume level that he spoke at, the modulation that he had, that just made her go right out. So yeah,
I love the visual of your dad looking out the window being like, "Oh God, the mailman's coming. Put it in the tape."
put in the tape. Bill, hold on. Here, there we go. And yeah, I mean, and sometimes the dog would look at the TV set, and I know she wasn't seeing Clinton; she was looking in the direction the sound was coming from. But it was just so adorable because just clunk. That would be it. I know Bill Clinton wasn't the most dynamic speaker, Laurel, but I don't think he ever actually put anybody to sleep.
Oh my goodness.
Great.
Yeah, so I don't get why they were so ashamed of
Oh,
this work. And like some of these people, we got to see Heather Feather, who's a famous ASMR artist,
huh?
and Emma, who goes by Red Whispers, and like we talked to people who are really into this community, and they all kind of have this shy, like, oh, please don't judge me for this, which God love you. If you are creating ASMR content, you are doing more net good for the world than anybody on Wall Street. You have earned every dime that you are making. I honestly, like, 10 out of 10. You are doing a fantastic thing with your life.
This could stop wars,
Uh, and this was just such a strange thing that it's all about helping people relax, that people are creating content that is designed to be relaxing, which is amazing, especially in a modern environment where everything is a giant garbage fire
And it's
it's
loud
made all
and
the
it's
time.
frightening, and everybody's talking at the same time. Everyone's yelling at the same time. And when you think about the number of horrible intrusive sounds there are in the world, jackhammers, babies screaming, it's you can't really go anywhere without this loud sensory input. I can totally understand trying to wind down, with some ASMR, or even put some ASMR, obviously in the headphones, it's better. Do that while you're doing housework or out walking, just to like get the whole mind body experience of calming down.
Yeah, and the whole time that I'm watching this documentary, I'm thinking of Foley artists, who are the people
Yeah.
who the sound effects for movies and
Sure.
TV. And if you ever watch like anything from the perspective of a Foley artist, they've got the images on the screen. They're watching the movie or the TV show, and they're like plopping wet paper towels on,
Yeah.
or they're rubbing two sticks together to make a weird sound, to fill in the noise where noise should be within what you're watching. And so I very much got like, this is an offshoot of Foley artist
Oh,
type
what a
of
good
thing,
comparison. Sure.
which really was such a cool thing to me. And then they started talking about, like, towards the end, they were talking about massage ASMR,
Oh, yeah.
like listening to, not listening to the noises people make when they're getting massaged, but listening to the noise it makes as you push against their bodies and like skin against the,
It's like weird for me. I don't know if I'd go that far. I'd feel like I was listening to two people having sex.
well, it's just such creative ways to make sound and come up with sound.
Mhm.
And again, I trust that the sounds are there. I
Well,
can't hear them. Then I went and I looked up, how much do ASMR YouTubers make? And I found a couple of blogs, a couple of places that have some numbers. And apparently, it's not small amounts of money.
yeah.
And it's not everybody. Obviously, there are going to be ASMR creators who are not earning anything. They're just doing it for the love of the game. There's going to be people whose channels haven't built up audiences. But like, Gibby ASMR is apparently one of the most famous ASMR, artists in the world, or was at one time.
Mhm.
And she has more than 5 million subscribers. And her estimated net worth is around $500,000. She gets multiple income streams, including YouTube ads and sponsored content. And she has a Patreon. And then they're talking about other people. Taylor Darling, who's known as ASMR Darling, apparently makes about $1,000 a day
Oh my
from
God.
ASMR. Some of these people, like, when you factor in for Taylor, her other income streams, sponsorships, merchandise sales, fan-supported platforms, Patreon, that sort of thing, they estimate her net worth could be as high as $1.5 million.
Oh, I can't even.
And like, as they're talking, gentle whispering ASMR is a woman named Maria Viktorovna. I apologize for butchering that, Maria. She's known as Gentle Whispering ASMR. Apparently, she's worth somewhere between $1 million and $5 million based on her ASMR work alone. And this is incredible to me,
Mhm.
that the audience for this exists, and they love the people who create,
Right.
and they support them through Patreon and through sponsorships and through other things. Like, so much of what is available online to be consumed, whether that's podcasts or blogs or videos or, all that sort of stuff, it's done for free.
Yeah.
And people love to consume it, but they don't want to pay anything for it, which fair in a
Yeah.
world where the cost of everything is just skyrocketing and nobody's making any money. I get that. But for the ASMR community, they seem to be really good at taking care of their own, taking care of the people who are creating the content that is so important to them. And apparently, even new ASMR creators can make some money at this. Obviously, it's going to depend on a lot of factors,
Right.
but this is apparently a lucrative niche to develop. And I just think this is incredible. And then in the documentary, they end up going to like ASMR conventions where all the
Can they hear each other? I can just imagine like 500 people just. Oh my God.
It is so neat to me that this is such a big deal, that all of these people get together to talk about their craft and figure out ways to improve. Like, that this is a big enough thing to really have that type of
Right.
swell of support. Like, I'm reminded of when we talked about D&D in one of our Halloween episodes in the Satanic Panic,
Yeah.
about how everybody in the country was all up in arms about how D&D
Right.
was going to destroy the world. But
D&D destroys the world.
but it was so profitable that they were having like Gen Con and other
Oh,
things that were
yeah.
put together so that people could come and play these games. So even though the audience was small, it was devoted and they wanted to have access to this and they would go to these conventions and do these things because it was important to them. ASMR feels very much the same, except for nobody's blaming it on Satan.
Yeah, give it time.
Yeah, so this was just so neat to me.
Yeah.
And I'm now wondering, as somebody with hearing loss, if there is some type of, I mean, I know ASMR is not going to work for me, but if
Right.
there's some type of similar concept of relaxing thing.
Oh, that's some Black Mirror shit right there. That's they're gonna put a chip in your head or something like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm anti head chips.
Yeah, we don't have chips for no chips for Rachel.
There's got to be something out there, though. I guess that would be like massage or
Yeah, because all of your other senses are acute. I don't think that would be a check out this documentary. It's only 45 minutes long. It goes quickly. I advise very much whether or not you have hearing loss, use headphones, use noise canceling headphones so you can really get the whole experience.
Yeah. This was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even as it was frustrating.
Right.
It was still a very fun watch. And honestly, go check out some of these ASMR creators if this is new to you, because this is a whole world of content that most people I don't think ever like stumble into.
Exactly.
So
And be sure to mention your favorite ASMR content creators in the comments section because we want to check those out as well. Maybe Rachel will have one that she can actually listen.
But thanks for listening to Real Stories, Real Problems with your hosts, Rachael and Roxanne. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into online content creation and ASMR. Join us again next week for a glimpse into another financial problem and a documentary all about it. If you enjoyed our show today, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on your podcast app. Thanks for listening. See you again next week.
Bye for now.